In 2019, a 30-year brutal and dictator rule comes to an end and Omar al-Bashir falls. In 2023, Sudan falls into a full-blown war. In 2025, the RSF launches a parallel government in Kenya.
The US sanctions has been linked to fueling Sudan's brutal.
Question: what is happening in Sudan? And who are the RSF? Watch this and find out. This is Told by Lanise. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Cheers. Sudan, a land of ancient civilization, now a battlefield. Two men once allies, now enemies, are tearing it apart. But behind this war lies a dark and tangled web of power, gold, and foreign interest. Stay with me as we uncover the story of the Rapid Support Forces and how they turned from a paramilitary group into a shadow government waging war against Sudan itself. To understand the RSF, we must go back to the early 2000s. Sudan's then President Omar al-Bashir faced a problem, a rebellion in the Darfur region. He needed a brutal force to crush it, one that could operate outside the army's control. His solution: the Janjaweed militias. This was a group of ruthless fighters infamous for their scorched earth tactics. They burned villages, massacred civilians, and turned Darfur into a graveyard. But their reward? They were transformed into an official force called the Rapid Support Forces. The RSF became Bashir's personal enforcers. They did his dirty work. They killed protesters, silenced opposition, and secured Sudan's gold mines. But here's the plot twist. In 2019, the RSF turned on their own master. Bashir was overthrown, and suddenly the RSF had new ambitions: total control of Sudan. Enter two men: General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the leader of the Sudanese Army, and Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, better known as Hemeti. This was the commander of the RSF. At first, they were allies, ruling Sudan together after Bashir fall. But power is a dangerous thing. Hemeti, once a mere militia leader, now controlled Sudan's gold exports, foreign deals, and a private army of over 100,000 men. He wasn't just a warlord, he was a kingmaker, and Baran, he knew he had a problem. In April 15, 2023, the war began. The RSF and the Sudanese Army turned their guns on each other, and within hours, the capital Khartoum becomes a war zone. The RSF moves fast, capturing key cities, airports, and military bases. It looks like they might actually win, but then another twist: foreign powers enters the game. Reports start emerging that the RSF is allegedly being armed through Chad, Libya, and the Central African Republic. They are funding Sudan's gold. And where is that gold going? To the UAE. Now, let's be clear. The UAE denies any involvement. But according to the UN reports, gold from RSF-controlled mines is being smuggled out, fueling their war effort. It's With fresh supplies and funding, the RSF starts looking less like a militia and more like a parallel government. Meanwhile, Kenya and other East African nations try to step in. IGAD, a regional bloc, organizes peace talks, but here's where things get messy. Sudan's army accuses Kenyan President Ruto of being too close to the RSF. They claim he's protecting Sudanese gold traders linked to Hemeti. The result, peace talks collapse. Sudan is left to burn. And who pays the price? The people. Over 8 million people displaced. Entire cities turned to dust. And in Darfur, reports of ethnic massacre by the RSF. Some are calling it a repeat of the 2003 genocide. The UN and ICC begins investigations, but by the time justice arrives, if it ever does, how many will be left alive? So what happens next? Sudan is on the brink of becoming another Libya, divided between warlords. The RSF controls large parts of Darfur, Kordofan, and even parts of Khartoum. The army holds the north and the east, including the vital port of Sudan. Some say Sudan could break into two separate states. Others fear something worse, a forever war. Baran and Hemeti once stood together. Now they lead Sudan's destruction. But in war, power can shift overnight. Will the army crush the RSF, or will Hemeti rise as Sudan's new ruler? Or will Sudan become another forgotten battlefield, controlled by warlords, mercenaries, and foreign interests? One thing is certain, the war is far from over, and for the millions of innocent Sudanese trapped in the crossfire, the worst may still be yet to come. This is the story of the RSF and their action in the country Sudan. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. This is Told by Lenise.